Welcome to the Reese Report. I'm the mouth of the North, Andrew Reese. And yes, I am back with another Leaf fan because, Jose did not get his chance to rant about this team that he likes to cheer for every year. And so I'm going to give him his shot. But let me give you a little context first. Jose missed our last broadcast. We had Barbosa and Gil Santos on the show. They gave their piece. Now it's Jose's turn. Now, the Maple Leafs, for those who don't know, once again lost in round one of the playoffs in game seven to the Boston Bruins after having been down 3 games to 1 and coming back to tied at 3. They lost in overtime on a David Pastrnak set play that the entire Leaf team fell asleep on, leading to a breakaway goal. Here's some stats for you Leaf fans. In 13 of the last 14 playoff games, the Leafs have scored 2 goals or less, but they still blame the goalies. They are 1-8 in their last 9 playoff series and 0-5 in game sevens since Austin Matthews has been a Leaf. In their last 8 home games, they're 1-7, 5-15 overall in the last 20. They were 1 for 21 on the power play. So for all the Leaf fans who like to blame the refs, you had the most power plays in round 1. You scored 1 goal. And this is the 4th time in 4 tries that Boston has beat the Leafs in the playoffs in 7 games. The other years being 2013, 2018, 2019, and 2024. Injuries notwithstanding, which the Leafs had plenty of, this is just, watching something on repeat and knowing it's going to happen. It's like the definition of insanity. So instead of the Leafs continuing to be insane, they fired Sheldon Keefe. You get the golf clap. You fired Sheldon Keefe. If you think that that's the only problem in Toronto, you got another thing coming. And if you listen to the press conference, I think Brendan Shanahan knows his job's on the line. He's got 1 year left in his deal. He took complete responsibility for the failure of the team and the core, and he knows his butt's on the line. Keith Pelly is now the new owner of Maple Leaf. He runs Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. The new owner, as Larry Tannenbaum is going to be leaving, and he's going to want to put his stamp on this team and the Raptors, which I'm looking forward to. Brad Treliving, on the other hand, has a pretty good idea what he wants to do with this team next. Jose, I've given you everything. Joseph Woll had a couple of games and got hurt. Austin Matthews missed multiple games with an illness and a weird hit. Nylander had a migraine that caused him not to see. They might be the softest team in the NHL. What is your thoughts on what happened in this series with your Maple Leafs?
What is my thoughts? Where do I start? First of all, where do I start? Listen, I'm not like Barbosa over here, okay? I'm not going to talk about power plays in front of the net and this and that. Okay, listen, I'm going to talk about each individual player. Like I said at the beginning of the season when we did our preview show, the Leafs ain't going nowhere with this defense and goaltending. Okay, that's the number one cause in the Leafs and then anywhere. They have no defense. They have no goaltending. Listen, I know that they didn't score a lot of goals, but if you have a hot goalie, Wall did it for the 2 games that he played. Listen, if you have a hot goalie, last year Vegas did it with Aiden Hill. If you have a hot goalie, you're going to go far places. And if you have a good goalie that's going to steal your series, you're going to go places. Swayman played amazing for Boston. Got to give him props on that. Listen, okay, let me start with the coach. First of all, Sheldon Keefe. You are garbage, okay? Last year, you got out of the first round. I don't know how the hell you got out of it. You got out-coached every freaking Tampa's by Cooper. I don't know. A miracle happened that you guys got out of first round. But then after when you played a half-decent team in Florida, what happened? You got kicked out. This year, listen, you're a coach. You see what's going on during the games. Why don't you change anything? The power plays, assistant coaches, whoever the hell takes care of the freaking power play. You see that it's not happening or nothing's going on. 1 for 21. What? Change it. For fuck's sakes, put the second lineup more time. Don't leave these pussies like freaking Nylander, Matthews, Marner's playing the full 2 minutes. They don't create anything. What the hell is that? Bench these fucking guys. Listen, Thank God you're gone because you're a pussy. You couldn't be man enough to coach this team and tell these superstars that, listen, I'm the one who's in charge here. You play good, or else you get the hell. You're gonna go in the press box. No, he has no balls. And even during the season when he had issues with Marner last year and stuff, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said this. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Man, get the hell out of here. Listen, the Leafs need a hard nosed coach. Hopefully they can sign Berube. They can. For me, I already told you, Tortorella would be the perfect coach for this Leafs team. I think Tortorella is that no bullshit kind of guy. You play, you deserve to play, you're gonna play. If you don't, your ass is getting benched. He already benched his captains. He's benched superstar players before. He sat them out before. So I think you need a none of this little pussy shit coach. You need a hard nosed coach that can put these guys in place. Okay, not for Keefe because enjoy your beach vacation wherever the hell you were. My Leafs fans and this and that, buddy. Good for you. You're another regular season coach. When it comes to the playoffs, you got to get out coached. You can't even put a. I just don't understand. You have last change at home, and how is the other team getting the best defenseman on your best players? I don't understand. Like, dude, double shift somebody, get them all confused. Like, I just don't understand. Anyways, now to the players. Let me talk to first about Marner. Marner, you are the biggest sissy I've ever seen in my life. Okay, you are a pure regular season player. When it comes to the crunch time, and when it comes to the getting dirty in the corners, no. Listen, Nikolai Borshevsky had more balls than you. Okay, Nikolai Borshevsky, when playing with Gilmore, would be crashing the net, getting drilled in the boards, but he still freaking managed to get that nice winning goal against Detroit, that little tap in front of the net, getting down and dirty. Nikolai Borshevsky, a little midget that's 10 times even smaller than you. Now you telling me you can't challenge these guys in the boards or you can't come up with the plays. Man, every single time you're getting outbodied. How? Like, I don't understand. Listen, in the off season, you want to get a big contract. In the off season, instead of you doing the gritties and all this shit with your girlfriends and your parties, man up, get bulk up, get physical, go to Gary Roberts training supply, go to Gary Roberts training, get some, be a man, grow some balls, and then you can play in the regular season. And then hopefully next year you pay yourself to a big contract, which I think this year your ass is getting traded. I think you're the one that's going to be out. I think this is going to be another like Huberto type of thing. We're going to get a power forward for you, and or maybe a good defenseman, a number one defenseman that we need, or even a good goalie. We do need a number one goalie. Uh, I'll get to Samsonov in a little bit, but yeah, Marner, I'm sorry, you're a sissy, and I thought you would be the difference in this team, but no, absolutely not. You make this team even worse. When you have a Nylander telling you to shoot the puck and be a man in the bench and man up, then we have problems. Okay, on to Austin Matthews. Listen, man, regular season, amazing regular season, 69 goals, trying to get your 70. Yeah, okay, whatever. Anyways, listen, playoff time, everybody's gonna be down on you. Everybody's gonna freaking check you. Everybody, you're gonna be the number one target. Listen, I've seen Leaf captains, previous Leaf captains and greats play with injuries, play with. I remember in the 2002 when the Leafs made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Final against Hurricanes. Freaking Sundin was playing with a freaking ruptured, was it hamstring or whatever the hell it was?
Eye socket. He had a broken eye socket.
Yeah. And the man was still fucking playing. So you telling me because of a little concussion or or a disc problem or whatever the fuck you had, buddy. Listen, be a man. This is a man's sport. We need you. You're the most important player on this team. You're the highest paid player on this team. So grow a pair of balls and start manning up to your position. Hopefully next year the Leafs do you right. Name you captain of this team because I think it's time for you to name you as a captain of this team and put Tavares in the third line. I'll get to Tavares in a little bit. So yeah, let's see next year. Hopefully, we can you can keep playing the way you did this year. He wasn't that bad in the playoffs. He had that nice goal in the game too. The games that he played, the last one he was in the third line. Like I like that. I like that idea of what if, like that was the only one smart thing that Keefe ever did was put him in the third line, so then you can get him away with the defenseman. But then again, he's playing with young crooks and stuff, so you're not gonna expect miracles from him or anything specific for like that from him.
Well,
So
for those who are wondering, Matthews has played 5 Game 7s. He has 0 goals and 3 assists. Not exactly a
and
clutch player there, Jose.
no, absolutely not, absolutely not. And that's why I've told plenty of times. I rather take Connor McDavid over him at any time of the day. Don't come with these comparisons that I think Matthews is better than McDavid because no, that's not going to happen. Um, Tavares, slow, old, third line, please. Hopefully, thank God your contract ends next year. Sign some other better players, younger players. You can probably do like a hopefully you can do a Spezza home discount, play in the fourth line for $1 million. We'll see. Well, we'll see with you. If even if we lose you, it's not going to be a big loss. You're declining. You're not in. You're not the JT like you were in the Islanders. I'm sorry, but age has gone into you. You're slow, but it is what it is. Um, Nylander, Nylander. I don't know, man. You and your stupid concussions, your visors and stuff like that. I don't know, dude. It is what it is. That's how things. You were a miss. They did miss him in the first couple of the first 3 or 4 games that he didn't play. So he did make a couple of nice plays and scored a couple of goals. But dude, like that, these guys for the money that they're getting paid, you need to be better, way better than you were against, especially against Boston, dude. I know this year I think that was the best year that they had the best chance to beating Boston. The Boston team wasn't that great. I don't think they were like the Boston Bruins like a couple of years when they lost to them in Game 7 with Bergerons and stuff like that. They weren't. I thought they were weak down in the middle, and they didn't take advantage of the Leafs. That's the problem with the Leafs and the coaches didn't make a game plan for that, and they ended up playing losing in first round. Riley, I think it's time for Morgan Riley to get traded. I
I
think
agree.
the record with the Leafs without him is way better than with him. I think he's not a big. I think he's like a top four defenseman. He's not a number
Yeah.
one.
I think that's why the
Okay,
power play struggled because he can't shoot the puck from the point. Just for
not even,
those who don't know, the record without Riley in the last 21 games is 18-2-1 without Riley, and overall it's 46-20-7. So you can win games without Riley.
oh exactly. And dude, if you're gonna have that guy in the power, I don't even know why he's on the power play. The man doesn't shoot. The man doesn't pass. And in the playoffs, man, you have 4 guys in front of the net. You know how hard it is from the other defenders in blocking the shots and the guys just in front of the net. Like it's impossible. Like you see these games. Like everybody just blocks the down low and just blocks shots and the puck hits them. Like it's insane. Like I think he's gone. You should trade him. I think you'll do well without him. Um, as for Samsonov, listen, the man, Game 7. I'm not even talking about the first 4 games because he was horrible. Okay, he let in some like weak goals, especially in Toronto Game 3 when they lost. Weak goals. Game 7, he played good. I still think that first goal was a weak goal that he let in on the short side. I know he was a little bit screened, but it's short side. You should have that at least. That I'm not even going to talk about the overtime goal because technically it's his fault and Riley's fault because Riley thinks he's not going to get it. Samsonov, you have to play that puck. I'm sorry, the puck comes right through in front of the net. You have to play it. At least poke check it or try to swipe your stick at it. Just don't let the puck go right in front of the net and this guy goes around you. You know what I mean? Like a wall. you can see that he's injury prone. Like I don't think he's not going to be a number one. You can see that the kid plays a couple of games and then he gets injury prone. I think he's a good backup. I still think the Leafs need to make a big trade to get a good goalie for this year. Um, what else is there? Besides that, everybody else, Max Domi, hopefully they can re-sign him. He was a good addition by Trivling. Bertuzzi too. If they can get Bertuzzi to the same deal like they did this year, I think he played well in the playoffs. He was agitating
I
Marchand and stuff.
disagree with that. I actually think Bertuzzi was bad in the playoffs. I think he took some bad penalties that
But,
cost him a few games. I didn't like the what
yeah,
Bertuzzi did.
got penalties when he went after Marchand and they took advantage of the power play. But dude, there was some goals in that power play that what's his name? Samsonov. What the hell are you doing? Like you coming out the net, if you're gonna come out to block the shot and then you leave the backside wide open like that to Marchand, no, you don't do that stuff. But anyways, besides that, I think the GM he's got a lot of work to do. I think this guy is a good he's gonna do well. I think he last year, besides the Lindholm signing, I think everything went pretty well. I don't think there was nothing major. Even Benoit was a surprise, this like the signing of Benoit and stuff like that. So he wasn't that bad. I think they need to
Well, I
be
think
a good
Reeves is a disaster signing. I think that's a bad one.
what
He didn't even be. They were better
what does
without him in the playoffs.
he was yeah, of course. I'm not saying he wasn't but you know what? Like he's an enforcer. You need that. Especially games in the regular season. I'm not even talking about playoffs because playoffs there's not so much fighting as there is in regular season. But in the regular season, you need a guy like that just to protect your big players just in case anything gets out of hand and stuff like that. Because last year when we didn't have an enforcer, the Leafs didn't have an enforcer. They would like, take little cheap shots, at your players and stuff. So you always need a guy like that just
Yeah,
to protect main
I think
guys.
they were more physical, which was fine. But the Klingberg signing was a total disaster. They didn't do their homework on that one. But I thought Tree Living tried his best to add some grit, and I thought he made some nice moves. But
He did.
they're so far away because of the roster construction and the amount of money that they have tied up in four guys that it's going to take a couple of years. Like I think even
Like,
next year, like they're going to have trouble because the no movement clauses with Tavares and Marner are going to cause major problems. You're not going to get a
but
great deal from Marner because he's on the last year of his deal and has a no moves clause.
but you see, this is what, in my opinion, I hopefully they trade Marner and get a good power forward or a good number one defenseman or a good goalie or something. But this is my opinion. I think the Leafs are going to keep Marner next year. I think they're keeping Marner. Next year's the Tavares money's off the books, so that's 11 month 11. That's
Marner's also a free agent though Jose next year.
yeah, Marner's a free agent, but they'll sign him. I think the Leafs will sign him next year. The Leafs will sign him, and with the money that they get off the books with Tavares, they'll get like a couple of decent players for that money.
I think it's impossible, and I know this sounds crazy, but I think it's possible they do not re-sign him and let him go and keep the money. I actually think it's possible that he doesn't re-sign with the team.
I don't think
He,
they're going to let him
he
go.
just looked like Jose, you tell me. Marner looked like a guy who did not want to be on this team anymore this season.
And talking about Marner, this is what pissed me off. Okay, your press conference. Okay, you say you get treated like gods here in Toronto. Listen, it's stupid fans like me. Okay, it's stupid fans like me and other these Maple Leaf fans that what, we're true fans. Like I don't care my team could lose every single game during the regular season. Hey, listen, I've been a true fan of my teams since I was a small kid. I through the good and through the bad. I've always been a fan of the Leafs. Um, you know what? But when you go talk like that you get treated like gods. Yeah, you do. You know why you get treated like gods? Because us stupid fans treat you guys like that. But when shit hits the fan and when we turn on you guys, then I don't want you to say, "Oh, we get treated like fans." Listen, you should say, "Listen, you know what? These fans are right. They should be straight up mad at me were mad at us for another first round loss because this team because we underachieved. We should be going further than we are with the core that we have. And that's what should be saying. Not shouldn't be saying that you get treated like a god. Yeah, you do get treated like a god. But if I was ever to see you on the street, I'd tell you straight to your face and your girlfriend's or your wife's face that you suck. You're a piece of shit. Okay? Listen, and like I said to you before, the only guy that ever showed balls in the Leafs for me was Dougie Gilmore. If everybody played like Dougie in the playoffs, okay, or Wendell Clark in the playoffs, this team, Maple Leaf team, would be a fucking amazing, especially with the talent that they have. But the problem is they have no fucking balls. It starts from all the way from the management all the way to the last player on this roster. Okay, grow some pair balls, all right. And then next year, when you toughen up a little bit, or you're still a little bitch like you are, maybe you play better. You know, okay? And then don't say you're a god because you're not a god. You're shit, okay? I'll tell you straight up to your face. So whenever if I ever see you on the street, or hopefully you don't get jacked again, your car doesn't get robbed again. Hopefully they do and rob you and give you a couple of beatings. Maybe you'll toughen up like and stop being a little pussy. Yeah. So that's my rant. That's not a big rant, but that's my opinion. I just think it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating as the Leaf fan. You know what? You know what? I laughed the other day when I saw Stephen A. Smith say that the Maple Leafs are the Dallas Cowboys. Okay,
They
you know
are.
what?
He's right.
Yeah, I know. But it's true though. We have like a big fan base. We love our team, but every single year they disappoint. They disappoint. They disappoint. They disappoint. You know what? But I, like in the back of my head, I still think, you know what, Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals had a great, amazing teams but they took them 9 years to win the Stanley Cup. So maybe maybe it'll be the Leafs here in the ninth year or 10th year. Hopefully, at least make a good playoff run, man. But like you said, Tripling needs to do a lot of trades. They needs to upgrade his team. Um, I
Well,
just think
what I'll say about the Capitals is they went through, I believe, five coaching changes. They fired George McPhee and they changed their president all before they won the cup. So the Leafs are
yeah,
only in the first stage of firing the coach. They got to do all the other
look,
steps too.
look what coach won them the Stanley Cup. It was Barry Trotz, a hard nosed coach that knows what it takes to win. Not a dumb coach in on the game seven in overtime goes in the locker room and tells you, "Okay, boys, let's just go have fun." What kind of coach are you? Listen, man, you tell these guys that's how you pump up your players by telling me, "Hey, guys, it's game seven. Let's just go out there and have fun." That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. You're a coach. You got to motivate these guys. You got to tell them, listen, guys, this is game seven. This is what we played for all year. Pump these guys up. Don't tell them, yeah, guys, let's just go out there and have fun. That's just the same thing as me going to work and tell these guys, okay, guys, let's not do anything today at work. Okay, don't work hard. Just take your time and do your work. And when it get, if we have to pour concrete today, then we'll pour concrete tomorrow. No, it doesn't work that way. That's what these guys. You know what? These guys need a dose of reality. Like I just, oh my god, it's frustrating, man. I
They
just
need it. They need a kick in the ass. That's you. I know what you want to
100%
say.
that will kick them in the ass, and that will tell these guys what. Listen, you don't want to play. Your ass is in the press box. You don't want to play hard. You don't want to skate hard. Your ass is in the press box. I don't give a shit if you're making $10 million, $12 million. There's gonna be guys that are making not even $1 million that want to play, that show more heart than you do. Like I just don't understand. Like, dude, like you guys are one of the highest paid. Like, but the core has to go. It has to stop. Or you keep Nylander, or you get rid of Marner. Eventually next year, hope like Tavares' contract gets off the books too, which is that was one of the stupidest signings I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely
Okay,
agree.
if you wanted to give him that much money, you give him big bucks up front for the first couple of years, and then when the lower years, when he's like 38 years old, 37 years old, you give him less money. You're not gonna give him $11 million for a 38-year-old or 37-year-old player. I'm sorry. For fuck's sake, Leon Draisaitl doesn't even make that much money, and he's much younger than Tavares. Freaking Nathan McKinnon
Yeah.
makes that. Like, come on,
Listen,
dude.
Jose, I said it for years, and a lot of Leaf fans, including yourself and others, I tried to tell them this roster construction is not going to work. You can't have four
Oh,
forwards making that much money. And once they gave
because
Tavares the money, you had to pay the other guys the same, and that was going to lead to disaster.
your four guys are taking up half of your salary cap, especially because now the stupid COVID thing, it never went up. They thought it was going to keep going up, but they never ended up going up. So you have to sign these like no-name players, and while these other teams are getting these players for $4 or $5 million, that could help you. Like look, Zach Hyman could have signed Zach Hyman. Okay. He's not going to probably score 50 goals in the Leafs. I'm sorry, he's not going to score
No,
50,
no, but he's the
but
type of player
he,
you need in the playoffs to get the dirty goals.
he can score you 30 goals. And especially on the guy like that on the power play, you need a guy like that in the power play. It's in front of the net. Like, screen the goalie, get the loose pucks, the guy that does the dirty work. Like, you need players like that. That's what you need. You don't need superstars. You already have two, three superstars. You need like the dirty players that get in front of the net that take a beating, but they're there. You know what I mean? That's what the Leafs are lacking. They have no cojones, no balls, no. They're a bunch of sissies that they don't want to get down and dirty. Listen, man, and this like what pissed me off the most is when they have those little scrimmages, and like Matthews doesn't do anything. Like but he punched that guy in the face. Like, give him like he's just there laughing, like, like, dude, punch the guy in the face. Like, get in his face. Give him like a face wash or something. Give him like, you know what I mean? Don't just stay there and like laugh at the guy. Like,
Yeah,
you look like I'm sorry. You look like a little like okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, man, just get in there. Like, get physical, man. That's why teams like the Boston Bruins and these Marchands and Kachucks and stuff like that. Those guys, listen, those guys can score. They're great players. They can score, and they get down and dirty. They don't care. They will get there in your face. They'll body check you. They'll pest you. They'll freaking bother you all game. That's what the Leafs need. They need guys like that, not
yeah,
like
they
little.
they they need a mentality change, a
Yeah,
culture change, Jose. Like, and that's why the coach needed to go, and that's why I would also hire Craig Berube. They need someone who can really wake them up when they need it the most. And it just seems like the Leafs are asleep in the playoffs, and they need someone to wake them up. And I hope that they hire a coach that will really get into them because after this season coming up, this will be a different Leafs team. Matthews and Nylander are going nowhere. Riley will be hard to trade as well because he has a no movement and another 6 years left in his deal. Tavares will be gone. I don't think he'll be a Leaf after next season. The captaincy will eventually go to Matthews, and I think
I
Marner is going to
if
be
he
gone as well.
I think if he wants to play for that $1 million, like Sped's a deal, like you know what I mean. Like when he was here in his late years of his thing, fourth line. I think you'll they'll keep him around, but or even a third liner or whatever like that. But not getting paid over the amount of money that he's getting paid now. Absolutely not. You got to take a major pay cut,
Well,
major
what
major.
what I would do is I would sign Domi and he can replace Tavares on the third line. That's what I would do.
Or yeah, like you could put yeah for sure you have to resign Domi this year
Right.
at
And
least.
you also have Easton Cowan coming up. Like you got some guys that can come up and play that role for a lot less money. So I don't think he's
Did
going to be around by that time.
did McCann get hurt or something? He
McCann?
didn't even. Did he get hurt? Because
Yeah,
he didn't.
McMahon. Okay, so Bobby McMahon, I didn't mention the injury. So Bobby McMahon got hurt either the second last game of the season or the last game of the season. He hurt his knee, had an MCL sprain. So that's why
Okay,
he was gone.
he was actually a pretty good player. Like he was
Yeah,
fast
yeah.
player. Like the guy, like a third liner, he wasn't that bad. But then I'm
Yeah.
like, what the hell? guy. Like I didn't even see him in the playoffs. But then I
Yeah,
guess he was hurt.
apparently the Leafs had the most injuries of any team in the league the last 3 games of the season when Matthews was going for his 70th goal. They had like 4 or 5 guys get hurt. I believe Wall didn't play at all the last month, and then he just came back in the playoffs. Um, Obviously Nylander had his concussion, Matthews had a concussion, and then just a whole bunch of guys got hurt. Dewar is out for 5, 6 months now with shoulder surgery, so they had a lot of guys playing hurt. But this is the playoffs, and that's what happens. And I agree with you. This is probably the worst Boston team that they've lost to. They probably should have won this series. I picked Boston because they dominated them in the regular season, and the history tells me they'll lose to this team. But the Leafs don't have any excuses other than roster construction and poor coaching. But a lot of people will tell you Keefe was a good coach, just in the playoffs he couldn't get it done. So they
Yeah,
need a culture change and they need a roster fix, and that's what Tree Living is here to do. But I think Shanahan has to go as well for them to get a complete culture change. If Shanahan's
I,
still here, then they're going to have the same 4 guys, and it's going to be the same thing every year. So I think that Shanahan's going to have to go before you see major change. And the decisions on Tavares and Marner can't be up to Shanahan. It's got to be up to the new president
yeah, or the new GM. Like
or the
he's
new,
got to see
well, or Tree Living.
like the coach. If you can get somebody that if he doesn't play his system, if you're not gonna play hard, buddy, out the door, out
Yeah,
because you're just gonna if you're gonna ruin my job, no, you're not. That's not gonna happen like that. And
yeah.
listen, the Leafs can always get like if Marner gets his no trade clause, they'll get something for him, even if it's just like a second line defenseman or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they'll always get something for him back for him. Maybe not as much because he's on his final year, but
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, the Leafs have a lot of holes. They need a starting goalie. They've got 4 defensemen that are free agents, so they got to redo their whole defense. Edmondson, who they brought over, is also a free agent. Like they have a whole bunch of holes on that team right now that they're going to have to fill. They've got about $20 million in cap space. They have to make a decision on Liljegren. Will they bring him back? Giordano's going to retire most likely. McCabe has another year, so he'll be around, but they have a lot of holes that they have to fill even with the guys that are making the money they're making. So I think you're going to get more of the same next year with the Leafs, outside of hiring a Berube that somehow brings them, back in the playoffs or allows them to be better in the playoffs. We got about 6 minutes left, Jose. Would you like to close with anything? What is there any moves that you can tell us that you'd make if you were Brad Tree Living next year? You've obviously mentioned Marner and Tavares, and is there a guy you'd bring in to replace someone or to help the team next year, goaltending and defense?
I would go to Carolina, and I would trade Marner to Carolina for one of their big defensemen, like a Slavin or somebody, because
Or
they're loaded and
yeah, they are.
they're loaded. I think they're one of those teams that, or I'll even go to Anaheim because since they like to trade with Anaheim, go to Anaheim, get one of those young defensemen. Maybe you can try to get John Gibson out of there too. You know what I mean? Try to
Mhm.
bring him in a package deal. I think that would be a great deal. It's like,
Would you try to get Markstrom out of Calgary?
yeah, absolutely. I think he's a great goalie. He's just been on a struggling team. I think this year he's been like a couple of these last 2 years. He's been injury prone a little bit. He's been getting hurt. But then again, like his team, I wouldn't be want to play in the front of that team either because that team was shambles all year, getting rid of everybody.
Yeah.
Um, I think the Leafs should have gone out after Hannafin. I think that was a big loss for the
They
Leafs.
didn't have the assets to get him, though, I don't
Yeah,
think.
thing like that. If they like that was one guy that they could have gone after and signed him to a long deal. Like he's a that guy can be a 1B type of defenseman right there.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, they listen. They need to make a big trade. They need to make a big splash this year. I don't know who's out agency. Like I don't know if there's any great players or anything like that, but they
Yeah.
need they need they need to bring in a couple of power forwards. I think
Yeah.
that's what I think they're lacking one of those power forwards that can score goals, be physical, down. get down and dirty in the boards and stuff like that, especially for the playoff time. Regular season, it's an open game. The Leafs
Yeah.
will win because of their talent and stuff like that. But when it comes to in the playoffs, they struggle. They struggle. It's not open hockey like in the regular season, and they end up
Mhm.
struggling. Like so, they need that sandpaper type of players. And
So
but
before we go, let me get a comment on Matthew Knies. Matthew Knies had a very up and down season. He had a few good playoff games. Is he uh what we think he is, or is he the guy who's there in the playoffs, or is he the guy who was kind of lost in the regular season?
there, he's improving his game. He's still young. He's still 23 years old. He played. He You know what? He surprised me this year. I thought he maybe wasn't going to be as good, but he in the last, especially the last two games, he was the one that was creating the most chances and stuff like that. I Do I say he's a number one? He's a like a line one player? I don't think so. I think he's a line two player. I think. He's still developing as well. Like you know what I mean. It's only his second year in the NHL. Uh, the man, like I don't know if he ended up scoring 20 goals. I'm not sure if he
No,
ended
I
up
don't
scoring
think so. I don't think so.
he ended up or something like that. Or but
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like for his first full season, it's not bad at all. But I like he needs to improve. Like don't get me wrong, this guy, if you want to make a name for yourself, 18 goals is not going to help. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to be playing on the top six, at least you're going to need
Yeah.
over 20 goals.
Yeah,
Sure.
15
So
goals for Nyes this year. I actually think Robertson might have outscored him, Nick Robertson, which is interesting. But yeah,
Robertson and
yeah, Robertson's another guy who the Leafs need to make a decision on because he's sort of been in and out of the lineup for years now. And I think Robertson had 14 goals. See, there you go. They had 15 goals, 14 goals. They had 30 and 27 points. So the Leafs have a lot of decisions to make with young players and veteran players, and the mix match of that will be up to Brad. And I think change is coming. Not necessarily this year, but definitely next year. We're going to see a whole new Leafs team. There's going to be guys like Draisaitl on the market. McDavid's up in a couple of years. The whole landscape of the NHL is going to change. So we'll see. But I think the Leafs are in a trouble because Dubas set them up to be this team. So they need a power play point man too. Like they've got a lot of things that they need. Despite the success in the regular season, this is just the same thing over and over again, unfortunately. 1 minute left. I'd like to thank Jose for coming on the show. He needed to rant, and I wanted to give him that chance. For those who don't know, we'll be back with the European Championship preview coming up. That's going to be great, especially for people who are Portuguese, because they're one of the favorites. And we'll also, we haven't talked about it yet, but we will talk about the NFL draft. We didn't get a chance. We saw the draft picks happen. We saw some big surprises. So we'll also do that at some point in the summer while we're not busy. But I'm the Mountain North Andrews. That's Jose Carlos Gomes getting it off his chest. We'll see you next time on the Reach Report and hit my music.